podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
You're listening to Achtung, Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to Achtung Millwall. My name is Nick Hart. You are listening to the number one Millwall podcast, as you well know. Now, unusually for me, yesterday's 1-1 draw at the Den between Millwall and Sheffield United, I have no live coverage for you. I had to watch it on stream for various reasons, which we won't go into. So I finished up watching yesterday's match on stream rather than being live in the Den. And I've got to say, you do miss going to Millwall, listeners. It's no real substitute, is it, watching it on the TV stream? But big shout out before I go into yesterday's events to Carl Bates and his co-commentator Mas Luongo, who I thought was very good, very insightful. Obviously Carl we know well anyway, but as a co-commentator I thought Massimo came over as extremely knowledgeable and brought insight into various moments and situations. So I thought he was very good. So first up, before anything else, well done, Mass, for that work. I can see a future in the game, just as a as an aside, dear listeners. Now, yes, it was also, before we go into the football side of things, Memorial Day, and I just wanted to give a big shout out both to the club for the on-screen, and also it was on social media, the list of Lions that we've lost in the last year, including my own friend and former contributor to CBL magazine. No one likes us actually before that, Don Bone. And there was also another version of the list of names that we've lost. And I think this was in the unofficial programme produced by Chrissy Bethel. It was posted online by Wallart, and I want to say a big thank you to Wallart, but well done to Chris for the graphic that he produced of the list of names and some nice photos, including of Don with an old CBL magazine t-shirt on. So a big shout out to everyone involved in Memorial Day. It came over well. Well done to Sheffield United, Chris Wilder's team, and the fans of Sheffield United for joining in the applause so well. That came over well on screen yesterday. So your Lions, dear listeners, for what was a pretty important game. That was a must-win. It was one we would love to have won yesterday, that's for sure, to consolidate our top six position. But we started yesterday with Crocombe in goal, Kramer, Cooper, Taylor and Doughty across the back line. In front of them, the defensive midfielder two, Billy Mitchell, Casper Denor. Then going forwards, we have Macaulay Langstaff, Kamil Negli and Femi Aziz, and up front the big Serb, Ivanovic. It was an end-to-end game. It was an entertaining game. Obviously, as a viewer, I'm not watching it as a neutral, but were I a neutral, I think it would be one of the better games I would have seen this season. It was an old-fashioned game, I felt, listeners. End-to-end stuff, some crunching tackles. Alex Neil, in his post-match conversation in the press conference, referred to the physical challenges that both sides brought to the table. I've got a lot of time for Chris Wilder. I bet you do too, dear listeners. He's an old-fashioned manager, and I've got a lot of time for Sheffield United. It's always a fixture and a venue that I look forward to travelling up to. Bramall Lane. It's a proper football club, proper fans as well. So I just want to say it was a good game to watch. Opening goal came on 16 minutes. Lots of talk about there in terms of their ability to exploit our right flank. We're going to come back to that after this opening preamble by myself. I spoke to Graham Payne, and we'll be playing that very, very shortly. 1-0, shot in, slightly weak and deflected shot from the edge of the D, really. Whether Max Crocombe should have done better is a source of a lot of conversation online. I think probably should have expected to, and I don't like to dig players out, but I think both he and Macaulay Langstaff, who missed an absolute howler earlier on in the game in the 8th minute, probably just have a level, and I think we're trying to aim for a level up from that, and it doesn't come naturally to us at the Den, in my opinion, listeners, to show the ruthlessness that's probably required to really consolidate a top six spot in the Championship. And then who knows, if you do get yourself into the big time, then there's no room for sentiment at that level. So yeah, howler of a chance by Macaulay. We then go a goal behind on 16 minutes before equalising with a really nice finish from the big Serb. from a free kick, right side free kick from Downs. He nodded down and Mihailo nips in and finishes for 1-1. Very swift turnaround of events there. The rest of the game was pretty open, back and forth. Both sides will feel they had chances. Both sides will feel they should have done better. And a fair result in the end was probably the 1-1 draw that we got. Now then, listeners, I'm going to play you now a conversation I had earlier on today with show regular Graham Payne. And then after Graham, we'll be back again with yours truly and the voicemail. So let's go to Graham now and stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Achtung, Millwall.
Huge welcome on the show now to regular show guest Graham Payne. Welcome on the show, Graham.
Morning, Nick.
We were just saying off air. Yesterday was a game of backwards and forwards game. It was. I've seen it described as like a basketball match, Graham. It did have a kind of end-to-end quality to it, which is both. I suppose if you're neutral, it's entertaining, but it had a few fraught moments from a Millwall perspective. I thought they were a decent side, Sheffield.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's face facts. They had an appalling start to the season, and obviously they've changed their manager, but normally they'd be up the top, wouldn't they, challenging for playoffs or even automatic. So, they're not going to be. I did think at one point before he came in, while they would be in a relegation battle, but they've pulled well clear of all that, and they did look a decent side, especially the right winger. He looked
number
impressive.
11. Yeah. He caused us no end of trouble yesterday. Just to touch on Chris Wilder. I mean, it's a Millwall show, listeners, so we don't want to go on too much about opposing managers. He spoke very respectfully about Millwall pre-match, which is an unusual thing nowadays. I had to laugh on Friday night at Gerhard Struber of Bristol City having 5 put past him. He's supposed to be like the new Jose Mourinho,
I did enjoy that one.
Rinus Michels of the Dutch past. He was playing beautiful football. He had 5 stuck past him. And anyway. We won't dwell too long on that, but there's a big contrast with Chris Wilder, who said some really nice things about the club generally and how he enjoys coming down to the Den. And he has an old-fashioned quality to him, Graham, and I think the game yesterday had a bit of an old-fashioned quality to it. It was a full house, obviously. And, it was just end-to-end stuff. You don't see many games like that. You don't get this. You get too much of this knocking it around at the back stuff, don't you?
Yeah, there was none of that really yesterday, was there? It was a good. There was none of that. It was a good blood and thunder, what I call English game. It was good to see, and it was a proper game yesterday. Yeah,
I mean, from our perspective, obviously, run through the starting 11: Crocombe, backline, Kramer, Cooper, Taylor, Doughty, Mitchell, Dinor in the 2, and then further forward was Langstaff, who we'll come back to, Negley, Aziz, and Ivanovic. I thought yesterday's performance, I mean, we're on the brink of transfer deadline day, which is tomorrow, actually, when we're recording this Sunday morning. So it finishes, I think I read 7 o'clock tomorrow, Monday, the 2nd of Feb. I thought yesterday kind of exposed the strengths and weaknesses of our side, because this was probably the best quality opponents that I thought we've seen at the Den all season. And it kind of threw a harsh light on where we're good and where we're not so good yesterday at this level. I think the good players really stand out, and the lesser lights also are a bit exposed in the hard spotlight, aren't they?
Agree, Nick. Yeah, and I know where you're going with that, but
I should be more subtle, really, shouldn't my listeners?
Yeah.
Well, I've got two names. I mean, we'll come back to some of the incidents of the game, but the standout moment. I mean, actually, Sheffield had an early chance. They had a set piece corner, which wasn't quite headed off the line by Billy, but it was kind of cleared. Nick, as the ball was directed towards goal. So it was chance upon chance. But then the massive chance, the one that really I thought the game turned on it, if you like, was that Langstaff miss, and you just can't miss chances at this level like that, Graham. It's really hard. I like the boy. I think he's a good, honest player who gives you 100%. The problem is that at this level, there's no room for sentimentality, and you've got to take chances like that, mate. Clear in front of goal, and he's found the goalkeeper rather than the net.
Well, I've heard you say like a few times lately, as you say, how much you like him, and that he gives you 100%. He'll run around, but when he's in front of the goal, mate, I don't know if he lacks confidence at this level or he just hasn't got it. But I think back to there was two against Swansea, maybe one where he should have scored, and the other one the goalkeeper done a good save. But that one yesterday, to me, he should have stuck that way. For how much the goalkeeper spread himself and saved it, he should have stuck it in the other corner for me.
Yeah.
You know, the goalkeeper was telling him where he wanted it, and he put it there. Do you know what I mean? But,
Yeah. I've been thinking about this overnight, listeners. I think, and I've said this many, many times, Graham, on our shows, I think it's a downfall of our club and our support, and I include myself, that we get sentimental. And we think, Macaulay, he scored a good goal at Norwich. He charges around. He's a bit like Tom Bradshaw. Only I think Bradshaw was a more clinical finisher. But anyway, he's clearly scored goals, but they were at National League and League Two level, and it's just a different ball game at those levels, Graham.
Yeah.
He's had plenty of chances. I've got his numbers here. Just before we came on the show, I was just looking. Macaulay Langstaff signed for us last season, 2024. He's made 24 starts, 34 coming on as a substitute, and scored 3 goals. That's not enough of a return for a striker at Championship level. He's made a role for himself as a kind of an assist merchant. He will do a lot of work, and he'll kind of create mayhem. I said, well, mayhem, but certainly he'll put effort in front in the back line of the opponents. But it's not enough, I don't think, and I can't really defend that miss yesterday. I know we're at a level now where we're talking about Premier League footballs on the table, and you just can't not take chances like he had served up to him yesterday, Graham. So it won't surprise me if he's in one of the moves that are made in tomorrow's dealings. We'll come back to that. The goal that they scored, I think, also exposed the other player that I wanted to mention, which is Max Crocombe, who did make some good saves across the whole game. But again, it's that X factor, Graham, isn't it? At this level, he's got beat from the edge of the penalty area. Man was given the 11, wasn't it? It's given plenty of time and space, and that's a defensive issue. I think Alex Neil said that. But he's got beat with not the most powerful shot of all time. It's got past him at on his left hand side. Not good enough, sadly. No. I don't like to say that because he's made some good saves elsewhere, but you get judged on your mistakes in that position. It's a tough position to be in.
It's always the same when you're in goal. You could have, might pull off 5 or 6 blinding saves, and you let one in, a soft goal, and that's what you get remembered for. And in his defence yesterday, I've seen a clip back, and I think I'm not trying to defend him, but he did take a slight deflection. But even so, I thought he was a bit slow going down to it. And as you say,
I agree. I think it got a touch, not much, but enough to give it a little bit of an extra, pizzazz of sort. It wasn't the most powerful shot, and it wasn't a howler by Crocombe. I think it illustrates some goalkeepers would probably have got down to it, and the majority, probably would be beaten there. And I think he's in that majority, camp of being a good backup goalkeeper, but not if you're going to go for top 6 in the Championship and think about, higher still. You probably just want that extra bit of something. I noticed, interested, there was a picture of Anthony Patterson at the Bromley Court Hotel with car park. So eyes and ears of Millwall fans everywhere, listeners. Someone snapped Anthony Patterson in the Bromley Court Hotel car park last night. So that's going to be an interesting one. But I can see the thinking if that's what we go for, Graham.
I think also, Nick, one major thing that stands out with Crocombe and all is that he's never played Championship football. He's always played lower league. And I think that probably says at his age, if he was going to be, he would have had a chance at that level before.
Absolutely.
And I think, by the sounds of it, I think this Patterson is a done deal. And I didn't know, but I think you mentioned it when I was listening to you on your pod on Friday, that Crocombe is going to be going away with New Zealand. Is that right?
Well, I suppose he hopes to play in a World Cup. I mean, I can't deny the boy that chance. I mean, a player who comes from Burton Albion, I don't know where else he's played, but you don't get many chances to play in a World Cup, do you? So if he does go with the New Zealand side, then we will want some backup. George Evans was on the bench yesterday. I don't know. I feel like I'm being harsh in judging him like that, Graham, but we're at a level and with an opportunity on the table we've really got to be quite hard-nosed about these decisions. I imagine Alex Neil's been around the track a few times. I think he knows the difference between a good goalkeeper and a great goalkeeper, and I think it's that. It feels a bit unfair to keep going on about it, but if that shot had been blocked or saved, then we have a different game again. So by such small margins, a player's judged, and fair or unfair, I don't know. So 1-0 down on 16 minutes. We made a good job of replying immediately. I thought that was a really nice finish by Ivanovic, who looks like he's really coming into form now. He looks a different player. I don't know if they've had a word with him or done some coaching at Calmont, which you'd hope he would do. But that was a really nice finish, and he just looks like he looks like a talent up front these days, Mihailo.
Well, that's his third in five. I think I heard
Yeah.
someone say, and it was a good finish. And it's like what someone said about Coburn and him. I think maybe Coburn does more work outside, but on the chances, I would back Mihailovic over Coburn to stick him away. And I'm not going on about obviously that Clary miss last week.
No.
I just think as a finisher, I think Mihailo is better than Coburn. Natural finisher.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think Mihailo has a talent that you can see could produce a much higher level player. I think Josh Coburn is your traditional willing battering ram. It's almost like a Paul Moody type of player. For older listeners who remember the olden days, Paul Moody was a great striker, but he wasn't what you would put into your kind of top 11. And whereas I think Mihailo does have the potential to progress into Premier League football with continued improvements, of course. So anyway, nice. It was a knockdown and just tapped in by Ivanovic in off the post for one each within Moses. Put my nerves to rest, Graham. I was sitting watching it on stream, listeners, yesterday. And as that ball went in, I made a shout, echoed around the house, mate, frightened the cats. They scattered. Incidentally, one of the things I did read, just going off a total tangent here, listeners, that if we get promoted, we're required by Premier League rules to introduce a whole new media gantry with I'm going to guess a higher level of camera, because at the moment we've got a bloke at the back of the exec area, as a bloke up there with a camera. And it was just wonderful. When the goal went in, immediately in front of the camera, a huge wanker sign appeared. Someone's going like wanker, wankers at the away end. I thought, well, yeah, I get what Sky and TNT and global, Al Jazeera won't want, which is blokes making wankers across the planet. I mean, you do get a lot of people getting up to go and go to the toilet and things, walking past your camera shot. So I understand why they've probably got to do that if that comes to pass. Anyway, back to the football. I just thought it was more illustrated in one shot. There's a kind of a veneer of professionalism, and then suddenly you get someone from Catford sticking a wanker sign. Oh dear, back to the football. I mean, the chances continued. I mean, both teams had decent chances, and Crocombe actually made a good save. So we've just been knocking him, but he did make some good saves. And I thought they looked very threatening down Doughty's side. I mean, he had very little protection in front of him, Alfie Doughty. It was a very, very open game, actually, overall. But I thought it was a constant chance of them scoring as much as we were scoring. There was, chances at both ends. Aziz, I don't think, was on his best form yesterday. Some of his shots were away, but he did get some decent crosses in as the game stretched, Graham.
Yeah, it wasn't one of Femi's better games. There was a few times when I thought, this is it, he'll stick this one away.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. But as you say, you can't fault his crossing, because there was some good crosses went in, but obviously, unfortunately, we didn't get on the end of them. But
another day, we get someone there. I don't know, but the second half, one each at the half, and I thought we would make some changes. We actually continued for a while with the same 11, which surprised me. I thought maybe we'd shore it up a little bit on the left side, but Alex Neil didn't seem to see the need for that. But the chances continued, both ends really. There was a chance. I think that they had their best chance once at 1-1 was on the 61st minute. There was a ball in from the right, and the guy I think he tried to backheel it into the net. It was that the guy with a headband on. Was he?
O'Hare, innit?
O'Hare, yeah, okay. He was an annoying little bloke. He had a kind
Yeah.
of the headband made him look like he's one of the small blokes at the back of the Warriors in the Warriors film, but not the front, not the front guys, not the big boys at the front. He would be just out of shot, off focus, at the back. And he tried to backheel it in. Somehow we cleared it. That was a bullet dodged there, I thought. And then, of course, we saw the introduction of Barry Bannon at 68 minutes. It was quite interesting. Graham, you sent me a link to a YouTube link to the post-match press conference where Alex was actually trying to play down the Barry Bannon thing. He was saying that he didn't want to over egg it, I think was his words. So quite neutral about will he make an impact? We'll see. I think they're trying not to over promote him a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah, I think also with it being against Sheffield United as well.
Yeah.
I think what he said was probably right. He was hoping he was going to, do something written in the stars and get us either create or score the winner. But I think he's right. I like the way Alex Neil spoke in that press conference. Actually, he tried to play it down.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to mention one other sub, and I thought that helped us was when I know Doughty was injured, but I thought Zach Sturge come on and he sort of shored up that left side better. He dealt better with Brooks, I think his name is, the 11.
Than
Doughty had done.
It was quite interesting because I watching it yesterday on stream, listeners, for reasons too boring to go into. I had to watch it on stream yesterday. But it's quite interesting how the chances for Sheffield really dry up as soon as the subs are made. Bannon coming in for Langstaff, 68 minutes, and then Sturge. That was earlier, wasn't it? So it was earlier, 58 minutes. So the chances, largely speaking, apart from that one I've just mentioned, the last of their real decent chances. And I think you're right, Graham. He kept him quiet, and that was kind of. After that, I thought Sheffield was slightly settling for the draw. Alex Neil said that in his press conference. We continued to press forwards. I thought we looked the stronger side towards the end. There was a great volley from Bannon. I thought, the goalkeeper took it with ease, actually, but for a moment, I thought, here we have the moment, the entry of Barry Bannon, and a few other chances, backs and forwards across their penalty area, and it finished in the end. There was a great chance, 90+8. That was one I wanted to mention, where the ball came in from the right side. Kramer, who got forward a lot yesterday, and Aziz left it, and unfortunately Coburn was just couldn't get anything on it.
Yeah,
finished one each. There we go. A good point. I think in overall, Graham, would you agree? I think given the quality of the opponents, I think we've got to be happy with a point there. Really, I don't think both sides were pressing for a win, but both sides probably thought that was a fair result in the end.
I definitely see it as a point gained. Yeah, definitely. I said that in our WhatsApp group, and the results around us. I suppose I think Hull won, but Ipswich drew, Coventry lost. I suppose, but I think it was definitely a point gained.
The fifth place, I think I can't remember what we were going into the game yesterday, but anyway, it consolidates us in the playoff positions. We are on 50 points. Middlesbrough in second position, listeners, 58. They're starting to look like they're pulling away. Well, Coventry got beat, didn't they, yesterday?
Yeah.
So they're both on 58. So who knows? All you can do is line against Wrexham next time out. They're in sixth position behind us. So again, there are no easy fixtures in the championship.
I think it's Hull way afterwards and all.
Yeah, Wrexham. I think we go to Sheffield Wednesday, which is pretty much got to be a must-win, isn't it?
Yeah.
And is it Pompey after that?
Pompey and Birmingham at home, 2 home games.
Yeah. So anyway, there's these. There are no easy games, listeners. The Wrexham game's going to be a big one next week. As we've said already, transfer deadline day is upon us. I haven't seen anything about Macaulay, but it won't surprise me. We'll see what happens on the day. It's always a bit frenetic. I did see a word that Idemo is attracting interest. Will Scott of the News at Den said he's attracting interest from a number of championship clubs, which
really
surprised me. Yeah, I would have thought he'd attract more interest in League One, but fair play to the boy if he's going to get a championship level move. Again, I did his numbers just out of on that particular point. He signed for us from Shamrock Rovers in 2023. He's had 29 starts, 51 as a substitute. I suppose there's a certain message there, isn't there? And 3 goals. Again, it's not ripping up trees, Graham, is it?
No.
You know, I thought when I first saw him, he was in the youth side that won the FA Youth Cup a couple of seasons back. I went down there for the final, and I thought we had a real prospect. He looked really fast, powerful, and looked like he had a cool finish on him. But he hasn't really shown it, has he? I don't know. Again, another nice boy though. So if there was a nice boy Liga table, we'd be top of it, wouldn't we? The points for that would be top. We'll see. These are going to be the deadline day moves, aren't they?
They're saying might come in. He's from Brighton. This guy I think it's Tommy Watson.
Tommy Watson. He's the leading name coming in. Well, Wes Harding's the other one. Wes apparently is going to move out to Plymouth on loan for the remainder of the season. I did read that his contract is up at the end of this season, so I think that might be last we see of Wes. Got no problem with Wes, but again, his levels, I think, got to be hard nosed about it, listeners. And the other one that coming back into us injured, unfortunately, is Kamal Grant, who's come back from Blackpool, but with a season-long injury now. So
I didn't know that.
No, wish him well. But coming in, you've just mentioned the lead name, which is Tommy Watson from Brighton. I don't know a huge amount. He scored the winning goal for Sunderland in the playoff final.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying it's a great move. I won't comment. I don't really know that much about the kid, but
apparently he plays on the left, which has obviously been a problem area for us.
Problem area. Yeah, saw that yesterday, didn't we? Patterson, we've mentioned, pictured at the Bromley Court Hotel. Listeners, I don't know if you want any better evidence than that. He's pictured at the Bromley Court Hotel with a holdall. So members of the jury will draw their own conclusions from that, won't they? Those are the 2 big names. I've also seen rumours. Cadamateri from Sheffield Wednesday. I don't know anything about it. His dad used to play, didn't he? I think it's the same family. I would have thought with a name like that. And Ingolson, that another Sheffield Wednesday player. Rumours. Who knows? The one that really caught my eye, Graham, was only because it's a bit like the Derek Mazusaka. I'd never heard of him, but this guy Ibrahim Fofana from Amiens in France, listeners. Apparently, he's an iron in our fire. I know nothing of him. A defensive player, apparently. But we're becoming big in Europe these days. Who'd have thought it, mate? Back in we used to sit at Coldblow Lane on the empty terraces watching us play Chester or someone, 2,000 people.
Yeah.
That would be making moves around Liga 1.
It's funny. It always goes to the last day, doesn't it, with us? I mean, I remember seeing an interview, I think it was just before Christmas, with Steve Gallen, and he's saying, we're going to get all our business done early in the window. It always goes to the last day. Who's going to?
I think there are old ladies that hang around Sainsbury's at 8, just 5 to 8, just before they close, so they get all the cheap stuff being sold off. And I think that's the Millwall approach. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting day tomorrow, dear listeners. Who knows? Some rumours there seem stronger than others. We'll find out more. Graham, I want to say a big thank you joining me on Sunday morning, mate. Always good to see you.
Cheers, mate.
And stay tuned, dear listeners. We have voicemails after this break.
Hi, Nick. David Liederkramer here on Sunday after the 1-1 draw with Sheffield United. First things first, I think that a draw was a fairer result. Clearly, it might have been different if Langstaff had scored that pretty easy opportunity that he had before they got their goal. The first half I thought was really exciting. Lots of good play. Sheffield United clearly been set up to break quickly, and it proved very effective for them when they did that. They'd already tried that against Ipswich and had been successful, and I was concerned that with their midfield and forward players they would be able to profit from that kind of tactic against us. I thought Andre Brooks was really good, although I don't think Doughty really dealt with him as well as he should have done. And as Alex Neil said after the match, or I think it may have even been Chris Wilder, our right side was very effective against their left side and vice versa. Interestingly, in the second half, when Sturge came on for Doughty, and Doughty looked pretty fed up when he was substituted, although he had gone down very badly. I thought Sturge dealt with Brooks far better, although to be fair, Brooks was probably tiring a bit at that point in the game anyway. I thought Bannon played well when he came on, didn't do that much, but what he did, he was tidy, and clearly, I think when he's integrated more into the team, he's going to do pretty well. Was it 2 points lost, or was it 1 point gained? I think probably on balance it was 1 point gained. I know that we didn't play as well as we did against Charlton or against Coventry either, but it was still a fairly decent performance. I don't think Aziz had his best game. He, I think, was greedy quite often, and I don't think we can be too critical of that because he has scored spectacular goals for us when he has taken a shot on, and I think he's been told to shoot a bit more. So no real criticism there. I thought Ivanovic's goal was good. He took goal similar in some ways to the goal he scored against Coventry, I thought, but he's got 7 now and is beginning to kind of score as he did at the end of last season. So maybe we'll see a few more from him. Very difficult game against Wrexham away. They were pretty awful, I thought, when they beat us 2-0. I know that sounds a bit like sour grapes, but actually I didn't think they were very good at all. But they've clearly got players in since then and are now playing pretty well. We seem to be getting 2 new players in. Certainly Patterson, the goalkeeper from Sunderland, and it looks like Tommy Watson from Brighton. Now, Tommy Watson, I know a Brighton season ticket holder pretty well, and he says he's a fantastic player and will do really, really well for us. I think on the left-hand side, if he can sort of produce what Aziz is doing on the right, that's very exciting. As for Patterson, I think Crocom's kicking yesterday was pretty poor, but he's a good shot stopper, and the way I've always regarded Crocombe is he's competent. He's not brilliant, he's competent. Will Patterson be better? Well, he's got the pedigree. Clearly he got helped get Sunderland promoted last year, so maybe he is what we need. There's also some mention of Raksaki coming in from Crystal Palace, and also outgoings Marku potentially to Oxford, and I think Wes Harding to Plymouth. The thing about bringing players in is that you've got to make room in your squad, and we've just got to have to accept that players are going to get transferred. I mean, that's just and get sent out on loan. I mean, that's the way it is. We can't have it always, and we certainly can't have a squad of 30 plus players. It's just ridiculous. So we have to accept the ups and the downs. Wes Harding going is no big loss. Good player, competent player, but not really up to the standard required if we're a toxic club. Marku, well, that's a whole different debate. That can go on forever, and I'm sure it will, as to whether we need him or not. Anyway, on to Wrexham next week, and come on, you Lions.
Big thank you, David. I'd agree. Point gained watching on through the miracle of live streaming. I thought Sheffield United were very difficult opponents, possibly the best opponents we've faced, really, in that they were both difficult to break down and quite a few, that fall into that category. But they also brought with them an attacking threat, which was, matched by our willingness to get bodies forwards. A few times watching the streaming yesterday, Carl and Massimo were saying how it's an open game, and of course that you both got the risk of conceding with the reward of potentially scoring. So, take one or the other. I don't want to dig out Doughty. I think he didn't have much in front of him to help on that left side, and their 11 Brooks looked like a good player and was by far their most dangerous man, and they moved the ball to him repeatedly, and they went close a few times. I think we both created chances across the game and could have conceded quite a few as well. So one of those days. I do agree Femi wasn't at his best yesterday. I think that the greed, if you want to call it, you want greedy strikers. You want goals in your best players. So I don't knock him for taking chances on, but it certainly wasn't his best day yesterday. We shall see what deadline day produces, David, won't we? It's going to be an intriguing day tomorrow. Let's move along now. Let's have a listen to Matt Richards.
Hello, Nick. Matt Richards. Well, I think the point is not a bad result, really. We weren't at it today throughout the game, really. And I thought Sheffield United were a good team, one of the best teams. I think we played definitely dangerous anyway on the counter-attack. We struggled with them defensively, particularly down our left, their right. That Brooks was a good player. O'Hare, Hamer, Cannon, it was quite a handful. I thought for Cooper and Taylor today. They probably had had a second chance in the first half after the goal, which was a decent save for Crocombe, and O'Hare put the header wide. And I thought there was times in the second half where they were cutting through us and better final ball, and they should have scored. So I think a point is okay. It's frustrating because we want 3. We want to stay in that top 6 for the rest of the season, clearly. But sometimes when you're not playing as well or below the standards you've been doing recently, you just got to think, well, it's just make sure we don't lose, I guess. Frustrating game. I thought we never created a lot. We've been moaning recently that we've been clinical. We didn't create many clear cut. One clear cut chance, and that was obviously Langstaff's, which is just another Coburn moment, wasn't it, from last week? You just put your head in your hands and you think, how the fuck has he missed that? How there's no excuse whatsoever. He has to score that. It's just really, really, really poor. It shows you the level he's at. Fair play to him. Runs around, but we can all run around. Well, we can't run around, but lots of players can run around. His job is, when he gets a chance like that, put it in the back of the net. That's what you got to do, and that's what he doesn't do. It's not good enough, and if that continues, missing chances like that, in fine, tight games like today, it's the fine margins. It's the one chance, and you've got to take it. And we didn't, so it's a draw. We didn't create much more, like I say. I thought we had still a lot of the ball in the final third, but the crosses from Femi and Kramer and others just weren't up to the standard to have somebody get on the end of it, really. And that's it. And that's our main outlet, isn't it? It's Kramer and Femi down the right. We create very little down the left. I always kind of think, well, we didn't play Doughty as an actual on the left wing. Use his crossing ability that way. Maybe we might do that. But yeah, Doughty was struggling first half. And second half, really. And when he came on, actually, I thought Zach Sturridge did a lot better defensively, and he actually did well. Got some good challenges in Zach, so I'm really pleased for him. He can look back on today, and he was one of our best players when he came on. Caleb Taylor did well as well. Casper and Billy battled. They just couldn't really get hold of the ball. It was such a scrappy game, and I think maybe Sheffield United, that's the game they wanted. They fought our physicality with their own physicality. That's what I wanted to say. They were up for a fight, and Chris Wilder got it right. And they're diving around, sitting on the ground, and time wasting, and winding us up, and and it worked, didn't it? It works. So fair play to Chris Wilder, praising us in the week in the press, and then get his homework right. Did well. Jake Cooper was a bit sloppy today, heading balls to their players and passing to them. Yeah, it's just all over the pitch, really. It wasn't our day. I thought Ivanovic did well in the first half, so he took his goal well. No, God, I know it hit the post and it went in. But it's good to see him score. And I thought he did a few good touches in the link-up play. And obviously Bannon came on. So I think we've got to think positive. We've got a tough away game next week, but maybe it's an opportunity to get our revenge on Wrexham for beating us at our place, and maybe the team set up better to play, counter-attacking football away from home. And we can have Femi and Tristan going down the right-hand side, and with Ivanovic up front, maybe with Coburn. Anyway, let's worry about that next week. So yeah, disappointed that we didn't get the 3 points. But I think, sometimes you've got to think to yourself, even if you don't win, then a point is vital this time of the season. So, cheers, Nick. Let's keep going. Come on, you Lions.
Big thank you to Matt Richards there. Yeah, avoiding a loss when you can't win, of course, is crucial. I'm not going to keep going on about the Langstaff miss. I think every single message on this show, and we've already explored it, refers to it. It's a difference in levels. So we've said that already. And these are the fine margins, dear listeners. Matt mentioned Zach Sturge. I thought did very well when he came in, as Matt said. I also wanted to mention Camille Negley because I thought he was my man of the match yesterday. I don't think anyone's really touched on Camille Negley, but I thought he did very, very well yesterday. It was a tough game. It was a hard grind of a game. Very different, I imagine, to the kind of football he's come from. He was in Holland, wasn't he, playing in Dutch football. And same with some of the French boys, even Tristan, I suppose he's got used to it now, but you don't get that kind of toe to toe. It's almost like two boxers going at each other yesterday. And as Matt said, Chris Wilder, good manager, did his homework, understood us, and set out a team to compete, and they came very close to winning it. So my man of the match yesterday, Camille Negley. Dear listeners, who was your man of the match? Do let me know in your replies. Do reply to me. We'll get comments on the Spotify and on the YouTube. You can even stick something on X if you want. But great to hear from you. So a big thank you to everyone that does reply back to these shows. I'm going to move it on. I'm going to play two together. I'm going to have Digger Dave and then John Rank.
Hello, Nick. Digger Dave here. Just thought I'd give you a shout after the Sheffield United game today. Really good to see two teams really going for it. It was quite a physical battle throughout as well, which is nice to see. And fair play to the ref as well for sort of letting it flow as best as he could. I think they had chances to win it, and we probably had the better chances to win it. And I think that sums it up really. Before Aziz had his shirt tugged and the other bloke got a yellow about the 60th minute, I think if he plays that ball first time, that's Ivanovic through on goal, and that could well have been the difference today. But alas, it wasn't meant to be, was it? But it does go to show, I think, how far we've come as a team when you see the stats and that we dominated the position. Well, we not dominated. We had the better possession. How many times in the last few years can we say we've had the better possession against teams like Sheffield United? So it is what it is, isn't it? Fair play to the lads. Another point in the bin. We go again, don't we? All right, mate. Nice one. Cheers, in. Bye bye.
Hi Nick, hi listeners, John Rankin just calling in after the 1-1 draw against Sheffield United. Very interesting game. I think a game that either team could have won really. It was very nervous. I thought Sheffield looked very dangerous. They had some superb chances. I thought their goal was a bit of a sucker punch. Another one of these shots from on the edge of the box. Where are our midfield? Closing them down. I thought Casper Denoy didn't have the greatest of games. Billy was under pressure, trying to do the work of two men. And I think the game changed for us when Barry Banham came on, to be honest with you, but more of that later. So anyway, the setup. Alfie Doughty, he was showing the one part of his game that he lacks, his pace really. And he's got everything else in his locker. For me, he starts. He's always a starting player. But we've got to be aware that he does lack a bit of pace. And I think the number 11 skinned him a few times and had him on pace. They look very dangerous coming down the right-hand side, their right-hand side. And that's why they had most joy. Camille Negley played really well, covering him with Alfie. And a couple of times, he got through and prevented some very dangerous attacks. So a little bit to work on there. I was kind of wondering whether we should have gone to a back five. Maybe brought Zach Sturgeon as an inverted right back. I'm not sure. The one thing Zach does have is pace, and if you combine the pace of Zach Sturgeon with Alfie Doughty, you'd have the best left back in the league really. But we can't have everything. So at the moment my vote goes to Alfie Doughty, but we just got to be aware of that little bit of a limitation there. Thought the other defenders played well. Max Crocombe maybe could have done better with the goal that Sheffield United scored. It was very well placed, and I just thought he might have done a little bit better, but I'm sort of being very picky there. On to the rest of the match. I was so pleased we equalised quickly, got us straight back in the game, and Ivanovic showed his class by taking that chance. I'm going to come on to Langstaff now. I think, to be honest, I don't think Langstaff really cuts it for me. As I was manager, I'd maybe have him on the bench as someone to come on and inject a bit of energy, maybe. But for me, he doesn't start because so many times now he's had relatively simple chances. I mean, for a player who's supposed to be a goal scorer, to be one-on-one on the goalkeeper, that's your bread and butter. You score those. And a couple of times now he's fluffed those, and that would be enough for me because we're coming in on the running now. So for me, I personally would have, I would stay with the 4-2-3-1. I wouldn't have Baloo. I would have Imaku on. I think Imaku's beginning to play a lot better. But we're there or thereabouts. It's all tweaking, But what I would say is, now's the running. Games now, if you look at the teams around us, we need to pick up a point or 3 from every single game. And from now on in, it's a point on the road, 3 at home. So what this means is, we dropped 2 points today, so we now need to go and get 3 at Wrexham. It's as simple as that. It really is. So, it's men and boys now. Men are men and boys are boys, and we got to man up and really start going for it. And this is where I think Barry Bannon's going to come to the fore. Now, for me, Bannon's, if you name, the best midfielder in the league, creative midfielder, it'd be Bannon for me. I don't care if he's 36, it's just a number. I think he can still do it, and when he came on, he made an immediate change. Sheffield United were looking very, very strong, and as soon as he came on in that second half, first thing he did was composure on the ball, played a lovely forward pass, get us going. And I was very interested to see Negley and Bannon on the pitch at the same time. Now, if Alex Neil can kind of organise the team where we've got those 2 players on at the same time, without leaving our engine room in the middle light, then that could be very interesting. For me, I would drop Langstaff off and have Bannon on instead, playing behind Ivanovic, or I would drop Negley in behind Ivanovic and maybe try and work Bannon in there in the midfield in front of either Billy and Derek or Billy and Casper. Casper seems a little bit off the pace for me at the moment, not really breaking play up like you would expect him to. So those are the areas to work on, but it really is fine margins, and football at this level is about those moments. And we go to Wrexham next week, and we got to create those chances. I think if you look at Aziz today, I think he was trying a little bit too hard. I would calm him down, say relax, give him someone else to bounce off. He links up well with Kramer. That was working okay. And just play football. Play football, play hard football, play for each other. And we've got every good chance of being in the playoffs, or even maybe challenging for that number 2 spot. For me, I think it's Coventry and Ipswich that probably go up. Although Charlton beat Leicester today, and I think Coventry lost to QPR. So it's a funny old league. We just got to keep in now. Keeping those performances in, staying fit, working hard, picking up points, not giving away silly goals, and who knows what can happen. So it's on to Wrexham. Come on, you Lions.
Brilliant stuff, John Rankin. And before John, Digger Dave, I just want to go back to one of John's points there. He makes it perfectly well, to be honest. It is running time. Just looking at the league table, dear listeners. Coventry lead the league on 58 points. Middlesbrough in second, also now on 58 points. Behind them, then in third, Hull. Then Ipswich on 51. Then Millwall in fifth. They're a 3-point gap to Wrexham, where we go next Saturday, and then Derby County, who won very, very well on Friday night at Bristol. It is the running. It is men and boys time. John makes that point brilliantly, and I just wanted to come in on that because I think that we've mentioned many times the faults of yesterday's game, and I won't keep banging on about it, even though I am banging on about it. But these chances won't come very often. Goals have to be scored, and men have to be closed down on the edge of your penalty area. Otherwise, good teams will score goals against you. And the dream, and it should be a dream for this squad, many of whom can't have imagined, I think, they would ever be within touching distance of Premier League football, and yet we are. It's a prize that is a bit like the old Greek legend of Tantalus, isn't it? It's just out of reach at the moment. And unless we make it happen, unless this squad who have shown that they're good enough to get and hold their position in the top six, unless they make it happen, being I think the point that John's making and I'm certainly making, then the rewards won't come our way. So we're talking about the likes of Ballo, and whether that's Imaku Ballo, I've read stuff online. You're probably reading the same sites, listeners, about teams being interested in Idemo. All willing players. Macaulay Langstaff, good willing player. Turno Ballo, good willing player. But it is going to turn on the kinds of moments that we just fell short on yesterday a little bit. The goal that we scored shows that Mihailo, give him a chance, he probably will stick it in the net. We've got to create chances for him, and others have to take their moments. This is the big time. Potentially, this is the big time. This is the biggest potential reward that our squad will ever get in their lives. Premier League football and its riches, and from the club's point of view, huge. If we can get ourselves into that top flight, it's what John Berylson, when he first came to us in 2006, it's been the aim since then. 20 years. His son now is continuing that dream, and we're going to see how the deadline day goes tomorrow. It's probably going to require some movements in and out. There may be one or two to surprise us, I don't know, but certainly ruthlessness is going to be key, and it doesn't come naturally to us at the Den, for better or for worse, despite our reputation. It doesn't sit easily on our shoulders, but that's what it's going to take to get us across this line. It's going to be a very, very interesting final day of the transfer window. A huge thank you to everyone that sent in voice notes. I'm going to close now with Aussie Dave. The remainder of the voicemails, if you haven't heard yours yet, I'm just going to save it up to a post-deadline day show with Merv. I'll include the remaining voice notes in that show. Otherwise, we're going to go well over the hour mark. So don't worry. We will include them, and that's going to be on Tuesday. I should be recording with Merv Tuesday morning, and we'll put a show out on Tuesday. So your voicemail, if you sent one in, will be included within that show. Big thank you to everyone for their contributions. It makes a great show. I love the voice notes. I really appreciate them. Thank you to you too, dear listeners, for tuning into the show. Without you, none of this is worthwhile. And I'm going to call it quits there on yesterday, and we'll be back on Tuesday with Merv and the remainder of the voicemail. So until then, from me, Nick Hart, it's arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now, dear listeners.
Nick, Aussie Dave after the Sheffield draw. Overall, fair result. Could have won, could have lost. Observations. I've got 3 errors. The first one is just picking on some players. The first one, Langstaff, I think he's confirmed he's just not good enough. Missed that easy goal early. And we either have to play two up front, Ivanovic or Coburn, a really good number 10 who can get goals like Negley, maybe Bannon, or maybe in the transfer market. But I think that is our Achilles heel if we really want to make the playoffs. Second observation, I thought Negley and Taylor were joint man of the matches, and both of them for their defensive to play. Negley was excellent, helping out Doherty against Brooks. Another player, Ivanovic, I think he's getting better every game, and unlike a lot of supporters, I actually prefer him to Coburn. He's getting better in holding the ball, etc. And the fourth player is Bannon. I think he showed the class in the short time on, and very promising. The second area I want to look at is our style of play and tactics. If Doherty is off his game, which he really was yesterday, we're pretty toothless down the left. And most of our effective attacks against Sheffield and recent games has really been down the right. We really need something good on the left. And I hope the rumours about Tommy Watson on loan from Brighton is right, because he'll be a great solution. And the other area with tactics is substitutions. Love Alex Neil. We all love him. He knows more than I'll ever know. I just feel his subs is always a grey area that I sometimes don't agree with. At half-time, with Doherty giving a run around by Brooks, I was hoping to bring Sturge on and maybe put Doherty at left wing. And he didn't do that, and Brooks continued to influence. And at the second thing, Sheffield, after about an hour, were clearly dominating the second half. And I would have liked to seen the subs earlier. And that's some criticism made in the past, but I'm just one little unknowledgeable supporter. And the third area is a bigger picture. Are we as good as we think we are? I looked at the other 5 clubs in the top 6, Coventry, Middlesbrough, Ipswich, Hull, Wrexham. We've beaten none of them. And 4 of them, we've lost to them at home. So we all think we're playing well, and I think we're playing well, but really, this Wrexham game at the weekend, we've got to win that to really prove to me, just to prove that we are good enough to make the playoffs. When push comes to shove against these really top teams, we haven't really done it. So Wrexham on Saturday must win. Come on, you Lions!
Achtung, Millwall.
Who do you want to watch?